All right. It is 7 o'clock or so. We will call the June meeting of the Trousdale County Planning Commission to order. Is Amber here?
Yes, she is.
Oh, okay. Well, let's just kind of call, who's not here? Shutter and Katie. And it seems like somebody sits there, don't they? Oh, yeah, there you go. So Shutter and Katie makes 9. So everybody's present except Shutterbug and Katie. Okay. Next is approval of our minutes. You have had these minutes. Hopefully you've had a moment to look over them. Please let me know if there's any corrections or additions that need to be made. If not, I would accept a motion to approve. I have a motion to approve. Do I have a second? Second by Heather. Any discussion? Anybody find anything that needed to be updated? Or all in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, please say no. We have approved last month's minutes. All right. So anybody got any changes to the agenda or anything that? If not, we have our agenda here in front of us. First item is a site plan review at 603 East Main Street of 0.411 acres for a quadruplex by Redline Construction LLC.
It's the minutes.
Oh, am I reading the minutes?
Yes, sir.
I thought there we go. That's what happens when you get old and blind. I didn't think that was what I'd read on the. All right, now our first item is the rezoning request of property on Highway 25 West, 13.6 acres for a single-story developments, and this is by Mr. Isaiah Perry. This rezoning request is our first designation is an RPUD, which is a planned unit development. And so the petitioner is asking to rezone the property from R2 to RPUD. Is Mr. Perry here? Is there anyone here to speak? Would you like to come up, sir, and just push that button there and turn that mic on and tell us what you'd like to do?
Hello, I'm Stephen Lancaster, STEPHENLANCASTER, and I'm just here, I guess, to be the guinea pig, unfortunately. So what we've got is we're looking for preliminary concept approval just on the idea of kind of what I've got laid out right now for it. So we've got a 80 unit single story development that the owner plans to rent out each of those units into one huge parcel per se. So it's not individual. It's not going to be sold individually, and it'll be rented out just like your typical, single story developments are. It's on 13.6 acres. We're expecting around 2 persons per unit. So designed for about 2 bedrooms, 1 bath. It's going to be, the dwelling type is going to be a garden style kind of home. And I'm trying to see what else isn't prevalent. That's probably should be it. I'm more or less opening up probably, I guess, for any concerns y'all may have. And then I'm here to answer them based on my interpretation of the code and while me and Miss Rosalie has kind of been working back and forth on this. So if y'all need any more answers or anything, I'm willing to maybe talk about it with y'all. So
okay. Well, actually, what is before us tonight is the zoning aspect of it. We would get into the particular questions and stuff when we would get into site basic. Is that right? We don't. So this is all in one. So if the county commission approves this, it's
No, sir, then it still has to come back to us for a final
for a final
master plan.
master
approval.
plan approval. Okay. All right. As I said, this is our first PUD. So, anybody got any questions? Did you say your name was Mr. Lancaster?
Yeah.
Anybody got any questions for Mr. Lancaster?
Does our sewer run down that far? Does our sewer run down that far off 25?
What y'all, I know y'all are planning on using sewer. Could you kind of explain the process of what y'all are planning on doing?
Yes, absolutely. So basically what we're doing is we plan on using a gravity sewer with a minimum 8-inch sewer line. Then running to the bottom left of our plans, if you're viewing them, it's going to be, we're installing a pump station with a force main. And we're planning on going up to the northern of the property. And then we're going to be tying into the existing manhole there, which will be feeding into the existing line that runs down 25 which I do say in the notes, I have a proposed sewer surface outline, a water service line, and a stormwater management, just kind of giving y'all the idea of kind of what the game plan is on what we're consistent of for just rough estimates. And but yes, that we are planning on running up to tying into the existing line that parallels to 25 down there.
Does that answer your question, Mitch? I know it runs down, I don't know how close to Sulphur College it gets, but I remember when they ran it down, that was, HB was moving his car dealership down there. I'm not sure how close to the road it actually went, but, and that's the way the school system pumps into that force line. Got a big, tank and everything, force it in there. Mitch, did that answer your question? David?
Two things. One, for the minutes, this is listed as going from R2 to R PUD. Talking with Rosalie, she corrected me today that it's currently R1, not R2. So we just need to, for the minutes, that needs to be adjusted.
Yes, that would be, yeah, because I was just reading it off the agenda.
The other thing I have is, this being 80 units at two bedrooms a unit. My concern is, based on the meeting that last month at the water board, do we have the infrastructure to support a project this large on our current system? Do you have any information on that, Heather?
Have y'all talked with the water department about the potential water usage and the capacity they have to provide that?
Yes, sir. So we roughly spoke with them. Mainly, we've been dealing with Miss Rosalie and the fire chief, trying to get their estimated demand on what he's kind of wanting out from and what we're assuming to expect from it. So we've kind of been back and forth. I haven't got an exact amount yet for this. More of just pretty good estimates, which I can go into that too as well. Whatever y'all want to do.
Heather, is the water board aware of this?
I reached out to the staff before the meeting this evening, and we've had one individual was approached about it, but we don't have that person with the capacity to be able to write a letter of approval or anything like that to confirm that they have the capacity for it. Such. You're looking at 80 homes that will use roughly 64 to 8,000 gallons of water a day. And when you do the math, you're looking at, just on 80 homes at 4 people in a home a day, that's 28,800 gallons indoor use only. That's not even including the exterior. Stormwater wouldn't be pertaining to us, but the wastewater and the clean water would be, the treated water would be. So we would need to, the water department would need to look at this to be able to determine if they could properly service this, confirm that they have the accurate usage that they are looking for, and then also for the fire protection for the fire hydrants that are being requested for this project.
And of course, the water department would have to sign the plat stating that that we had capacity and everything for this
Yes, sir.
before anyone would sign that plat. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So then, since this is our first PUD coming through, is that something that we need to have as a body before we go any further with the process? Because if we send this through as a rezoning as a PUD, we rezone it, and then they don't meet the infrastructure requirements, then we've gone ahead of our, kind of put the cart before the horse, haven't we?
Well, I don't know. In a way, I guess, we rezoned it back years ago to R1 and the development fell through, I think, twice in that time. It's been several years. And I'm not, I don't know if it was design or infrastructure or what, but I know that it fell through twice. If we rezoned it to R PUD, then it's no different than what we did before.
No,
It is.
it's very different.
Well, I'm saying the zoning would still be there, whether they had able to get it or not.
No, because there's a plan, because that plan specifically goes with this property. It's not just a rezoning.
Okay,
The plan that you all are looking at tonight is the rezoning. So you almost have to kind of forget about rezonings that you've done in the past. This is not a typical rezoning.
well, my question would be then, of course, all we can do, we can't rezone property.
Correct.
We would have to send this to the county commission with one of our normal 3 recommendations.
Correct.
And let's say we did that. It's got to go. I mean, if the petitioner wants it to go,
It does not have to go.
does not, okay. But if it goes and the county commission requires more information,
There's an entire set of plans that has to clear this body with the recommendation.
okay.
That's why I'm saying it's not a typical
I
rezoning.
understand, and we're learning.
Oh, yes.
We're all learning on this,
Yes, sir.
because like I said, this is our first one.
Yes, sir.
So are we putting the cart before the horse if we don't know about the water
Yes.
capacity?
Yes, and that's.
Being able to-
That's one of my staff comments, that you don't have it, as to my knowledge, that no will serve letters were submitted with the project.
So we don't have enough
We
information,
do not have enough information.
in your opinion, okay?
In my-
Heather,
yes,
did you
in my
have
opinion.
a comment, question?
Of being, thank you, subdivision that's being in the process of being created, which I'm not asking to stop it. I'm just asking to make sure that we have this, every one of our boxes checked that this board needs to make sure that we're offering the infrastructure as a whole, more than just the water and sewer, but also the streets, the entrance. That road is already utilized so much, both of those roads, that it is, the crossroads that it reaches. I'd like to make sure that we have some conversation with the street department, the roads as well. I know that's a state, one of those is a state road and one's a local road, but we need to make sure that we've also got accurate.
From
80,
what
80 homes, that could easily be 4 people, that could easily be 4 people a home.
It could
I
be
mean,
2 adults and
and-
kids, yeah.
right. So,
Is it, the way I look at that on what we were sent, y'all plan on accessing the thing off of Sulphur College, not off of Highway 25.
Exactly right. We plan on disregarding any kind of access for state TDOT required. None of that's going to happen. It'd be purely accessing Sulphur College Road is where it'd be. Maybe we would have to look into maybe widening some things, increasing pavement thickness, those kind of things. But again, that'd be stuff you would look into before final,
That brings, like we talked about, have you had preliminary discussions with Mr. Scruggs and the street department as to impact of?
No, sir, we haven't. That's mainly what this is for, is just a preliminary, since this is the first one, so what can we do? What's the max we can do? And then kind of adjust it based on what we all agree to, and kind of, get a good idea before we start going into this, because some of these things, we're aware of, this is going to be a significant impact on the water. I mean, we know that for sure. And we have looked into maybe some of the issues with the secondary road there being Sulphur College. That's the kind of the things that we would need to be working on right now, just to see if this is this capable, or am I wasting the client's time? Those kind of things too.
Mr. Chair. So in that case, this should be a concept, not a preliminary, because a preliminary master plan creates vesting rights, which is a legally enforceable document in a court of law. So and that's how this has been reviewed, as a preliminary master plan. What Mr. Lancaster is describing is a conceptual, just, hey, what do you think? And in this case, the planning commissions are not set up to give conceptual feedback, because they are applications that will likely end up before you anyway. So to be able to give kind of that, oh, we like this and we like that, can be given as it can imply consent. It can imply approvals that are not intended. That's why staff is here. That's why Miss Rosalie is here. That's why I'm here to assist Miss Rosalie in these reviews. There are some very basic questions that have not been answered. Like, are these going to be duplexes? They're single family residences? Okay, then the density requirement is too high. This project is too dense for this particular, and that was a comment on my sheet to get those density requirements down. So it doesn't even meet the requirement for a preliminary.
I think it's obvious just from discussing the water and the road that there's no way this body could rule on this
Yeah.
tonight.
Yeah.
There's just not enough information. One, the water department's gonna have to really look into this, not only from the water usage, but the sewer side of it also. And then, of course, Mr. Scruggs with the road and everything. If I understood you correctly, Mr. Lancaster, and I may not have, you said y'all were willing to do some work on the actual highway? Or was I mistaken about that?
No, so basically what this was entail is, once we reach that density requirement, like whatever it ends up being, 40, 50, whatever it is, we would basically do that analysis to figure out, okay, what kind of impact is that going to do on the Sulphur College Road?
Okay.
Like, is that something that does that warrant widening the shoulder, changing pavement design, those things? Like, those things would be taken into consideration once we have that finalized. Of like, all right, so 50 is the number, then we can kind of expect that traffic volume on that number rather than, that's kind of the approach.
Okay. What other infrastructure wise have we not, road, water, sewer?
Something you all might want to take into consideration is potentially doing a traffic impact study. Because this is going off of not a major road. So with 80 units or bringing it down, probably, I don't know how many units you're going to end up with. It's all going to depend on your utilities and that sort of thing. But this body or the legislative body may end up recommending or requiring a traffic impact study. So I would be prepared to do that, to do one.
Mr. Nala?
I'm not real good at seeing it, this fine print, but is there place for mailboxes on here?
Yes, sir. There's the mail kiosk is up there at the beginning of the entrance on the right with the standard cluster box units, whatever it is, 1.5 feet by 3 foot, approximately 80 of those. So it's whatever, I think it's 20 or so per unit. But yeah, there is an ADA accessible kiosk up there in the front.
David?
So just so that everyone understands, and correct me if I'm wrong, Amanda, but as we were putting this together, talking with Rick Gregory about it, when we send this forward to the commission, whatever is laid out before us that gets sent to the commission, if they vote to approve it, that's now locked in there. So if we sent this currently and it's locked in without having the infrastructure in place, well, now we've rezoned it for this program, and this plan is there, knowing that it can't be supported is a little.
That's why I said I don't see any
Yeah.
way we could make a decision like that tonight.
Yeah.
We just don't have enough information.
Well,
And
and the applicant has made it clear that he does not intend this to be a preliminary. He intends this to be a conceptual, and that needs to be reflected in the meeting minutes also. That this is intended to be a conceptual and not a preliminary master plan,
Mitch,
which
can
changes the.
we see what this gentleman has to say, then I'll come back to you. Yes, sir.
Now, Mr. Kerr, you can go ahead and ask if you want to ask.
Go
a
ahead,
question.
Mitch.
Only other thing, when we're talking about water, will these require fire suppression throughout too? Just, I know that costs some more capacity.
So your question is, fire suppression as in, will they need to be sprinkled?
Mhm.
No, sir, they'll have to have firewalls. And thank you for bringing that up because that was going to be another discussion. I have talked with the fire chief and we've looked at the NFPA and we would request that there be an additional 2 fire hydrants installed. You have 2 already on site here, but we would want 2 more just so that with the density of this, they would have, the fire department would have adequate time to hook up as they need to in order to suppress any type of fire. But no, they wouldn't have to be sprinkled because these are townhomes and you would have 2-hour firewalls from foundation to rooftop.
I thought you said they were single family.
Townhomes.
Shared wall?
Shared wall.
That's what I was trying to ask him and he said no.
Yeah.
They are shared wall?
Yeah, they're
Okay,
townhomes.
so that's gonna change your density. Take a look at my
Yes.
staff report and get your density right. Yeah.
Okay,
There we
'cause after you answered that, I thought I was talking to single family.
Like cottage style
Right,
is
right.
generally.
That's the way I understood it too, yeah.
Okay, yeah, cottage style is generally an independent.
It would be similar to townhomes, but single story.
Oh,
Single story, but they would have.
Essentially, it's a
adjoining
single story
walls.
townhome.
Units would have adjoining
Yes.
walls with each other.
But
Yes, with the 2-hour firewall.
single story shared wall is a townhome according to codes, according to building codes.
Yes, it'd be what you're thinking, Miss Rosalie.
Thank you. And
Oh, David?
So then, I mean, this doesn't, the PUDs that we put in play, the PUD and the our PUD and then the commercial residential PUD, we didn't, I'm trying to get my words here right. When we designed this, it was designed to use all the existing densities that we already have in place. So the most we could do would be R3, and that would be 5 units per acre, correct?
townhomes are different. Spacing is different. For instance, what we did on Green Top,
Density.
we had 10,
4.25.
2 sets of 5 townhomes on that short piece of property. So it's different. You're allowed a much greater compilation of living structures.
So your PUD language says the maximum overall, for the density of development, the maximum overall residential density shall be specified in the terms of the number of dwelling units per gross acre of the acreage of the entire development. The maximum density shall be as follows. 1, for an R PUD containing only single-family detached dwellings, 4.35 dwelling units per acre. For an R PUD containing multifamily dwellings or a combination of building types, 12 dwelling units per acre. That's why I needed to know the
Okay.
types.
Did you have something else to say, sir?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I'm my name is Jared Claiborne. I'm one of the professional engineers at the office here. I know that we're all new to this, and I know this is the first one we have. The question that I have going forward to help us out, to me, the comments that are being asked or requested to clear up are more on the lines of a full-blown site plan that goes in this. And so that's where we are confused and requesting more information. To us, a rezone is more, does this property work in a sense of can we rezone it and the owner use it later? But to us, a full-blown design would be answering the water and the sewer and gas and electrical and roads. A lot of these things would be required for us to do a full-blown design. So I guess our question is going forward, because this goes before y'all and then 2 county readings and then comes back to y'all for a full-blown design approval.
Both.
Are we going to just have to not skip, but go to the very beginning and do a full-blown design when we submit these? Because without a full-blown design, it's not really possible to answer a lot of these questions, because we have to be able to fully understand what our infrastructure is going to be before we can answer if it's capable of abstaining what we're proposing. We're good with it. We're just trying to get clarification through this process.
And that's part of the PUD process. It's a lot more intensive right up front. So what you do when you're asking for a PUD designation, you submit a preliminary master plan that goes with that. That is your rezoning request. So with that, and that is a vesting document. So that is what goes forward. That's what gives you your legal right to move forward.
So
Okay, so
if,
wait, let me
No, you're
finish real
good.
quick. So when you get through this body with the preliminary master plan and you get up to the county commission, they are looking at your preliminary master plan as part of your rezoning request. And as Mr. Thomas was saying, that is going to be essentially the rules of your plan that you're going to move forward with. So yes, it's got to be 75 to 80% done. When it comes back here, then you submit a final master plan. That final master plan has to be in what's called substantial conformance with your preliminary.
so when you say final master plan, instead of a master plan, we would say a full site design.
Use our terminology. If you use our terminology, it'll be a
So
whole lot
I'm-
less confusing for you.
So if I may ask the question then, if when we come back for the full master plan,
Uh-huh.
after here, 2 readings and then a full master plan, any changes that come up because of significant design is going to have to go back to the front of the line and start this whole process. And it's going to continually, and it like, because that's what we're going to get into is say the water becomes an issue and we have to say we ask for 80 and you approve it and we cut it down to 60, that technically is not the master plan. So we will have to go back and resubmit this to the county or to y'all and then the county again.
But at least it's a reduction. It's not an increase. So that's a positive thing. And yes, you're absolutely correct. That's why staff generally should advise, you need to budget 6 months to a year for a PUD. It's not a fast process. It's not a typical rezoning. It's not, you're done in 3 months. Yeah, it's not, it's very time and labor intensive and you've got to be at least, no joke, about 80 to 85%.
That was the more, what we was wanting when we was discussing with Miss Rosalie is to us, this is going to just require full blown design up front. I mean, it's not going to be 75 to 80%. It'll be 100% and then we address comments is what it's going to be. So.
Because I think you were like most of us in the beginning, we were thinking more of our old zoning process. And this is completely different.
Yes.
And so we're all learning.
The way I kind of initially read it, and I'm not going to say that I've read it hardcore and took it to bed with me every night, but the way I read it was could this area be an area that we would approve for 80 townhomes? Not necessarily that it's approved for that design, but could the owner buy it with the zoning? Because this is a contingent zoning. The property owner is trying, or the proposed property owner is trying to see what he can get before he closes on the property. It's not necessarily that we was looking at, hey, once we get this, we're going to pull building permits. It was, could they get the rezoning for the density is more what we was looking at. It's typically for what a similar rezoning would be.
Right.
So
And the proposed property owner doesn't want to purchase something that he can't turn a dime on, you know.
and then that's going to run into this. If we're doing 6 months to a year, then I don't anticipate a lot of these because who is going to have a contingent contract on a piece of property for 6 months to a year nowadays? It just don't happen like that. So.
Yes, sir.
So I can't speak to what the commission will do in the future. I can speak to what they have done in the 4 years that I've been. We, as a commission, have not been doing rezonings on R3s larger than 5 acres. So if a individual wants to come in and have a project done of this size, a PUD's the only way it's going to get through historically. And that's the reason for doing a PUD. If you have this larger property with this type of density, everything's going to have to be spelled out and everything's going to have to be nailed down, or it's never going to get through commission on the rezoning side.
Yeah, I think this has been a very good learning process for the applicant and for us because, you know, that's the way you learn is when you talk through it and go through it and hear, oh, no, it's not like that. If it gets passed, that's it and all that kind of stuff. This is just completely alien to what our thinking has been over the years. Yeah. Sir, did you have anything else?
I guess just leave y'all with this. Obviously, whatever the rules are, we'll play by because I mean that's how our job operates. But I'm more or less, if something's black and white, and if it's black and white, I can read it, I can do it, I'll absolutely do it. But if it's something that's some gray area, this time is for us to be able to truly develop what's the standard Cause I'm sure, if there's one, there'll be 10, I mean, y'all know how that goes. But I'm using this as I'm gonna ask questions why, or I'm gonna make sure it's not just, well, I think it needs to be this, or opinion that, like, whatever it can be, it's just if it's factual, we'll follow the rules and no harm, no foul there, so.
I would think since this is pretty much brand new, we've got this nailed down as to the way we want it, don't we, with the language and everything, and shouldn't be, oh, I'm gonna let you do this and that kind, shouldn't be none of that. Yeah,
No, and the other thing that Rick, he cautioned us when we was doing a PUD, if it meets the standards in the zoning, it makes it really hard after an individual has gone through the full process and the expense, and they meet all the requirements, to say no. You have to have a strong, that's why the individuals are going to have to work really, for the most part, solely with Rosalie's office to get this to the point where they already have their water stuff done. They already have the road infrastructure. All that's already done. When time it comes to us, we're doing the nitpicky stuff.
well, here's the thing, we're not the one that they would have to ask to say no, they're talking about the Trousdale County Commission. And that's a whole bird of a different, I mean, whoever knows what 20 individuals there would do.
But that was the one thing that Rick really, he really pointed to us, that this is different than a regular rezoning. The county commission does not have a legal obligation to do a rezoning.
Right.
But when you bring a PUD in and they invest the money and they meet all the criteria, you have to have a kind of above, all reproach reason for saying no at that point.
Yeah, I can see our people doing with that you have to stuff. Just being realistic. Actually, I think that where we are at this point is I think you, sir, should be meeting more with staff and find out more of what needs to be done on the front end. And if the petitioner, if your employer wants to move forward with it, then at that time we could look at it again. But since it is on our agenda, I think the only thing we can do with this tonight is just to put it off. And
So I would recommend that we look at the staff notes that Amanda has put together. I know we did a training, was it last month on the PUDs?
I don't remember at this point. It was sometime in the last.
Right,
couple
it-
months.
And we've all been sent the slideshow and we have the handout and we sent out what was in our combined ordinances for PUD and have this be a real opportunity. Okay, so we don't have a complete thing, but why is it not complete? Let's look exactly on what we're saying here. So preliminary master plan, what does that mean? Because there was a lot of discussion about even having an HOA submitted with this preliminary plan, big difference. So let's kind of look at this. If you guys would go ahead and take out your staff notes, discussion and review. So the preliminary master plan, and thank you so much, Amanda, for taking what our ordinances is and put it in the staff notes so that we can go through and review this. I know some of you may not have had a chance to even review this, so let's take a moment. So the master plan, proposed development, general concept shall include items such as the planning commission, general means of the disposition of sanitary waste and stormwater. So in having that discussion, they hadn't really had a chance to nail down and get the letter of feasibility. That's one of those things. The substance of the covenants and grants of easement. So you see in your packet there is a letter where they have a general outline of what they're wanting to do. They're going to be having where it's going to be. They have how big the acreage is, the 80 unit single story development, 2 people, current zoning R1, proposed zoning RPUD, and thought there was more to it than that. Having green spaces, there we go. the building material, site notes, so common areas, assessments, and God bless them, stormwater maintenance, because definitely we're having some real huge concerns with stormwater all over the county, enforcement amendments. So these are the things that we need to be looking for when somebody brings a preliminary plat. We need to have, I did it again, plan, forgive me. We need to have a copy of the HOA. And that too can also be amended during the final master plan when it comes back. So say this does get rezoned, the county commission votes twice, it's yes, then they have to come back to us again. And we look at the specifics. This is where we really go over it with a fine tooth comb. Does anything need to be updated and looked at? For instance, in speaking with them, sometimes property has a grade that you don't know needs to be adjusted, right? I mean, welcome to Trousdale County. We're on a rock shelf. Sometimes you're not going to get the type of ground that you want. So the density of the development, we've talked about that already. The lot area and the square footage, that's on there. Zoning amendment. Let's see, again, Mr. Kerr had said, you know, just like other rezones. I mean, we've got a rezone, but this is a PUD. The only thing that we could say is favorable, unfavorable, or no recommendation at all. And we've got where it is on the county with the zoning map and everything. So looking at this, even though we're saying, no, we don't want to proceed with this just this time, we need to really look at, pull out those sections of the RPUD and the CMPUD that were emailed to you. Look at that, digest it. No, you don't have to, you know, put it under your pillow and try to absorb it that way. You know, sometimes people learn that way. But we need to get familiar with this. We've gotten in a routine where this is how rezonings go. We can't look at it through that lens. We need to put on a different set of glasses for a PUD item coming through the Planning Commission. Anybody have any questions or comments about any of this?
Mr. Kerr, administratively, I'm going to recommend that we deny this simply because the applicant intended this to be a concept, not a preliminary as was on the agenda.
And since it's on the agenda as a preliminary.
Yes, sir.
We need to, should be able to show in the minutes that we actually dealt with it.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I have no problem making that motion to deny this
Okay.
application.
I have a motion by Mr. Thomas to deny the preliminary application. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Noller. Discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Oh, I'm sorry. No, go ahead.
I do want to note that this is an incredible design. It's a beautiful piece of real estate that's been created, and I take total appreciation that you've made the units to be less than 9,000 to 10,000 square feet in the largest structures, and that you're taking into consideration for the firewalls, and that would take less burden on the fire and water, for the fire hydrants for the fire suppression systems to be required upon that on that. Hate that I can't defer it, but we look forward to having you back. I just want to make sure that your client is not putting his money in something that's going to sit on a shelf. We'd like to make sure that it has justification to be completely.
David?
And Amanda, I want to make it clear with my motion, this is not keeping them from actually coming back after they have everything together. This is just denying this because it's incomplete for what they're asking on our agenda.
Right. He intended for this to be a concept and not a preliminary.
So please understand, any vote that's here is not shooting your project down. It's that you're in the wrong order presenting, if that makes sense to you.
Yeah, I'm like Heather. I think it really looks nice.
It does.
Yeah.
It does.
Any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, please say no. Okay, the preliminary application is denied. And we look forward to working with you in the future.
Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Okay. Next on our agenda is a site plan review at Halltown Road of 0.35 acres for a commercial building by Matthew Carmen. You have that in your packet. 15,073 foot building. You representing Matthew?
Yes, sir. Jared
Okay.
Claiborne, Mid-10 Engineering.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
So I do know you're gonna have a few comments from the administrative review that I did not get. Pretty simple project. 2,138 square feet is correct on this. I know there's a few places that 2,132 and 2,137 got put. This one got completed at 4:30 in the morning. So if I will take the comments with grace on that one. So pretty simple. I do know one of the comments that was asked was about parking. For this, I interpreted the parking area, the 200 square foot parking area. It says for business, commercial businesses, that the parking is to be designed based on the sales area. I don't have the layout for the interior of the building in front of me here, but there are two areas inside the building for mass storage. So I did eliminate those areas, which took out one parking spot. So that was one of the comments that me and Miss Amanda addressed before the meeting here. Overall, it's not a whole lot to this site plan. It's a pretty small building, pretty small lot. Mr. Carmen owns all the area around it. We did address stormwater. We went to a 25-year storm, which is what the neighboring city in Lafayette, that is their stormwater zoning regulation, is a 25-year max storm design. So we went with that, which is kind of our policy standard in our office. Overall, I know there was some questions Miss Rosalie had asked about fire protection. There is a fire hydrant 124 feet from the proposed building. You can see it at the bottom right of your site plan there, that it'll be going out of Halltown Road on the left. I'm a firefighter myself, so if the truck was in the road, he lay 100 foot of 4-inch line and then lay 100 foot of 2-inch line of the building. That's pretty good for most places. So any questions? I know there was one thing that I did not address, and that is, for some reason I had it in my head that commercial around it, the landscaping was different, but I did miss that. So I will admit to that one not being addressed.
Does anybody have any questions for this gentleman?
So, on the fire hydrant, what was the flow on that one?
I don't have the flow right here with me, Miss Rosalie. I've got it, but I don't have it here with me.
Best laid plans, right? I understand completely. Thank you.
We work really well with the utility down here, so I can get Tony to either flow it, or I've got it at my desk, but if I ain't got it, I can get Tony to flow it pretty quick for me. But I would not anticipate a hydrant right there being, I looked at it on the way, and if I remember right, it would be orange, which would not be great, but it's not the worst. But I looked at it on the way in to make sure it was there.
David?
So, and the information I have in front of me, I'm a little confused. I know Matthew owns quite a large piece of property there where he has the warehouse for the auction right now. I'm still trying to figure out where this is going to go on that property.
In relation to the warehouse?
Yes.
So I think Miss Rosalie can answer this, because Mr. Carmen, Jim brought a plat that y'all have already approved. This was a subdividing of that main property that they subdivided 15,000 square feet out for this individual parcel. But it's right, if you are essentially sitting at the McDonald's back exit, or that gas station back exit, it's right across from it.
So if you look in your packet, you will have a copy of the lot, the 15,073 square feet. This was a 2-lot subdivision, which I can approve It met all of the check boxes that I had to meet in order to approve this lot subdividing. It was done in April of this year, thus giving him the ability to pursue this idea.
This just wasn't in my packet. This explains everything I was wondering. Thank you.
And if I understand you correct, it's gonna be a storage, a potential laundromat and storage facility.
It is going to be a laundromat. Within the side of the laundromat, they have a significant amount of storage areas that we subtracted from the sales space. We use the laundromat places for constituents to come in and actually use, is what we consider for parking.
Other questions? Ms. Rosalie?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, first off, I'd like to apologize for not forwarding the staff report to you. I thought I had.
That is no problem on my part.
So looking at all of this here and referring to the staff notes, there is going to be a necessary barrier. And I know you're aware of this and plan on taking care of that. Other than that, if we recall that there is a large water line that goes down Halltown Road that we've looked at numerous times with all the various rezonings that we've done along Halltown, even with looking at the rezoning of the Holder property up there going to I-1, they have a 12-inch water line going along Halltown. So that water line is there. Do we know what kind of water capacity this is going to take?
I don't have the water capacity. I do have the amount of units within the laundromat. Most of the time when we look at laundromats, I know that water is a big concern, but to us, actually the sewer is the biggest concern. That's where it puts the most stress. It's the most, your water usually can take it, but it's more, can your sewer take the sudden surge from all these units pushing into it? If you can see on the bottom left, page C4, we've got a manhole called out. Originally, there was a sewer design that ran a new set of a new proposed line, 8-inch line up Halltown Road with new manholes. That has not been installed. So that manhole is at the very end of the line. However, you do have the 8-inch line, and we would be tying it in directly to that manhole for the sewer capacity.
Thank you for having the ADA compliant parking. Now, just as a reminder to everyone too, a laundromat is one of those types of structure, types of building that will require the state fire marshal plan review because it is that type of hazard for fires, which would require them to do that. So not only will I do a plan review on any type of building plans that are submitted, but the state fire marshal office will do that as well. And that's all I have.
David?
So have you gotten any approval from the water department as far as the usage that you're going to be using, both sewer and for water?
I have not, and that's just based on previous experience of not doing that. So I'm not saying if I have, or I should or shouldn't. It's just on previous experiences of us not doing that.
Heather?
So I've got a little research that I've collected and it shows that you would have a modern high efficiency models can cut anywhere from between 10 to 15 gallons per load off of something between 520 gallons a load. This size, I don't think they'd have like 25 machines. I think they might have just a handful of machines.
The best I remember, just from memory, you're looking at like 15 at most, 15 to 20 washing machines, because you actually have to split that with your drying machines as well. So 50% is all you're gonna have on washing machines itself.
So you're looking at 1,250 gallons per load. You're looking at 12,500 gallons per wastewater a day if you just use 10 of the machines. You just use 10 of the machines. So I would recommend you do get with Tony. He's back in town as of, I think, today or tomorrow. So he and the team, I'm sure, will be able to help you on that. But there is a high impact on that for that.
And I have no problem with getting with Tony and getting a letter of approval out of him as far as that goes.
He knows you're coming.
He sent somebody my way today, so I owe him one.
Well, I sent him a message, so they've all responded back to me today, so. Just trying to cross our T's and dot our I's and make sure we could get as much as possible for you here tonight, but I hate that we couldn't, so. Your wastewater daily is your number one concern. And your fire marshal, that's gonna be huge if you're running gas units too, which I'm sure you will for drying.
I don't get on, this is where it blurs the line. Civil engineers do not step inside the building unless we deal with structural. So I will have to get Matthew to go with Rosalie on that because fire marshal is an architectural thing. It was always our understanding that anything under 5,000 square feet was exempt. But now like I said, that is not my ballpark. So that would not be,
Pending the, yeah, pending the, you've got a few gray matters. Sorry, that's my day job coming out.
Okay. Any other questions, David?
So with this not having water approval, what are the ramifications if this were to pass this body tonight as far as a site plan?
Well, why don't we go to Amanda and see what her thinking was anyway?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. So there were a couple of comments on there, and we discussed those briefly before the meeting began. And you all have a copy of my staff report in your packet. So there's a correction of the tax map and parcel number on the site plan cover page, correcting the square footage of the building, which has already been addressed. The label of the dimensions of the parking spaces has already been addressed on the revised site plan that you all have. Landscaping, 10% of the lot area of the tract shall be landscaped to enhance the site appearance. We've already talked about that. You've got a copy of my report now. I do concur with the subtraction of the storage from the sales space, so I'm okay with the 10 as well. To answer your question, Mr. Thomas, my recommendation was going to be a conditional approval based on the lack of the landscaping plan. You can make that conditioned also upon receipt of the letter from the stormwater and sewer department, and from the fire marshal, and from whatever else, whatever other conditions that you would like to place upon the site plan. It just means that he would not be able to pull building permits until the conditions of approval are satisfied.
If I may.
Sure.
So basically, any type of site plan is approved, we do not issue building permits unless all the i's are dotted and the t's are crossed. We would require them to be able to have feasibility letters, permissions stating that they would be able to get service from electric, from gas, from water, depending on what type of building and use that they're going to be having. So even if you approve this tonight, if they do not have any one of those, they would not get a building permit. Just saying.
And Mr. Thomas, if I may add to that, Rosalie and our office has worked well in the past. There has to talk about the fire marshal, for instance, or architectural plans. There are currently site plans that have been approved that are not under construction because they have not presented Rosalie with the further documents that are required for the building permit. And I don't want y'all to think that we're, I won't say unprepared, or because we kind of get in this gray area where we represent the UD as well and the public on private. And so we get in the middle sometimes, and I want y'all to understand our 90% of our day job is the UD. And so when we come here and we didn't have that water tonight, we understand why, because we tomorrow will show up to work and spend 90% of our day working for the Hartsville UD down here. So I don't want you to think when we say that's an unpreparedness. It's just, we're such in a gray area when it comes for us to present these private site plans, also representing both. But Miss Rosalie can speak to, especially with architectural plans, a lot of these commercial buildings are going to need architectural plans. That is just not our part of this project. I do know that there are larger communities that require that up front. And if that's something y'all want to look into in the future, that is certainly within your realm. But when I say larger areas, you're looking at like Lebanon, Gallatin, places like that would require not necessarily full-blown architectural plans, but a rendering of what the building's going to look like, structural, any kind of structural design, and then they would have to present architectural plans before getting their building permit, just like down here.
David?
So, and honestly, after hearing the last water board meeting, my concern is capacity. And without having the approval in writing in front of us, or at least signed off from the water department first, I have a real concern about voting in favor of any new construction until I know where that all sits. I don't want to put too much burden on our water department, and then my water at my house loses pressure because we have too much feeding off the same water system. I know about a little over a year ago, it was mentioned in this body, at that point, the state had evaluated our water system and was saying we were getting closer to capacity. Now we're a year out. Now this discussion is being brought up, and now it's even been brought up even more stringently. So I am concerned about the capacity of our water department and putting too much on it with the development we're having as we're getting more and more dense in this small county. I really would feel I'd feel better making my vote if I had the information in front of me when I was making the vote and not just hoping it got done down the road.
It may be, I mean, everything we've talked about tonight is dependent upon water. And it's probably just going to get more like that as we go along. We might want to consider some sort of addition to that these things get put in the front end of it instead of waiting to sign off on plat approval. I don't know how we would go about doing that. That's maybe something that we need to, maybe your committee could.
I would recommend this from a consulting side. It is really good for planning and a water board to work together. It's 100% needed, and I 100% agree with you. The only thing that we're going to ask for the little bit of time we do the private is whatever you want. It is impossible for us to explain that to a developer or potential developer unless it is actually written that this is a requirement. If going forward that y'all want to add a requirement that says you have to have the UD give a letter of approval for water, I'm 100% back you, because you do need that. It's just going to be hard for me to leave here and tell my customer that or client that when it's needed, but it's not yet in place.
It's not a requirement.
Yes, and that's the only, I have to be able to explain it from both sides.
Right. And you're right. You've got a customer.
And the comment is correct. It is needed.
Right.
Down here is needed, and surrounding counties and surrounding UDs is in the same boat you are. A lot of our customers are in the same boat you are, and it is needed.
Right.
I just ask, please put it forward in writing that you want it,
Right.
and it'll solve our problem as well.
Right. David, did you have some? Oh, Rosalie, do you have something?
So totally agree that the planning commission and the water board, and in fact, I've been attending the water board meetings every month for the last almost 2 years so that I can get a handle, and I always give them information about what's coming forward in the planning commission so that they are prepared on what's happening. And even to the effect of, I will take a copy of a plat and take it over there and say, I need to know, is this going to be feasible? Is this something that we need to pursue and let come forward before the planning commission? So totally agree. I understand about the comment being made about being considerate of the water and that there being some concern about the water. They are talking a little bit about that as well, but nothing has been definitive. If we do need to put it in the codes and zoning hands to come forward and put that as one of the step one feasibility letters, then I think we need to do that. Right now, there is not anything in writing in our ordinances. It is building codes.
Most areas that make that a requirement, they give a conditional water availability letter. That water availability letter will have a time stamp on it. So usually Lebanon is 12, or Gladeville Utility District, the one I've dealt with recently, is 12 months. So after 12 months, if they have not started their development, the water availability is null and void, as far as they will have to go through the process again. I lost my train of thought. I would ask tonight for this water availability, and me and Rosalie worked together for years and years on this. It's just like the stormwater in this plat or this site plan. There is no stormwater requirements in Hartsville. We do it because y'all will not be on the witness stand. I'll be on the witness stand when the neighboring property has an issue. So I would ask it, basically we treat it like that. We will take care of the water. It is a conditional approval, just like we put the stormwater on here, and once it gets approved, even though y'all don't have requirements for stormwater, our clients have to do that because that's what was approved on the plans, even though there are no zoning ordinances for stormwater here. And I would ask that we just treat that the same way for this project. And then going forward, because when we ask questions here, we're adding stuff to what we bring to you, even though if it's not required, we will start bringing forth a letter availability letter for y'all on our stuff. So.
And thank you for that. We do have a little bit of stormwater ordinance, but it's only in our subdivision regulations, so not out in the entire world of developing.
David?
So Rosalie, please correct me if my memory is wrong, but I was certain that we did have a section in our ordinance for infrastructure, and water and sewer would count as infrastructure, correct?
Something in our ordinance concerning infrastructure in what capacity?
What he's talking about now?
Having proper infrastructure in place for the proposed building site. We've discussed that multiple times, several different plats.
Are you
So
saying on the combined ordinances that were combined, there's a place on there for that?
it wasn't anything new. It was already pre-existing.
Already.
We've had that conversation on multiple plats about whether they had enough fire hydrant, water pressure. That's all infrastructure.
Mhm.
And I thought that was an overarching segment that covered all of it. If we do need something specifically to nail down that more, I'd be more than happy to take that up in my committee. And honestly, is there anything that needs, since it's a site plan, not a zoning ordinance type of thing, is that something that this body can do?
The only thing that the planning commission can really regulate is subdivision regulations, not necessarily ordinances, zoning ordinances. And as far as infrastructure is concerned, we don't have anything in there stating letters of feasibility. Nothing in our ordinance says that, to my recollection.
No, but it does state that it must have proper infrastructure to support, and therefore you can require the letter to show that it has proper infrastructure, correct?
So infrastructure, my interpretation is basic mechanics, as in structure, water lines, sewer lines, electrical lines, gas lines. As far as water pressure and things of that nature, I didn't necessarily interpret it as in the actual flowing of water through lines. So I think we would need to, because how do you measure that? You need to go to the experts. You need to go to the subject matter experts and get that interpretation from them. I wouldn't be able to tell you exactly how much water they're going to need and whether or not that's going to be feasible. I would definitely go to the water board, to those that are in charge, and say, I need some documentation I don't need necessarily words, but some documentation stating they have that water. Now that would be infrastructure rather than just saying that's not going to happen.
Heather,
And if we recognize that we do not have just one water source and one sewer source that's operating in this planning board's jurisdiction, what we have is a developer in this exact situation who is walking forward, who may have infrastructure that's needed to be there, but he may be willing to bring sewer. So that's when you're talking about, like, what's the limitations? You know, I work at a building every day. We brought sewer 2 miles to get it to the building. And so this person who is submitting this needs to know where it's at, yes, how far away it is, and what's it gonna take to make the capacity for their investment to be at that location. And that's what I believe for you to say, that is, it's hard to gauge that, because the way that the water and sewer board is written right now is that it's on the developer to get it to them. So if they need 4 fire hydrants, they have to put the 4 fire hydrants in there, and they have to get the water to the capacity that it needs to be to service those. So that's what you're looking at within your Hartsville, Trousdale County. But I can't speak for Legardo. I can't speak for Castellan Springs and the other communities that we're making decisions on. So it's more than one department that is going to have a collaboration. And I know that the water and sewer be more than willing on the Hartsville Trousdale area to walk, but need you to know that their policies and procedures may differ from other communities. So when you write, you're not writing for one department that's underneath this governmental umbrella of a budget. You're making that decision for 5 different, that 4 are not within that umbrella, and there's no vote by the county court for those 4 departments. So if that makes sense, that's just a really hard gauge unless it's on the developer and or their agreement with their water and sewer source. You could do something like that. But it's not something you can make the policy for, and you say it be this, that, or the other. So.
Ms. Rosalie, what did you say that you required from the contractors before they filled their building permits as pertain to sewer and water and those items?
Depending on what is being built, I would request a letter.
So Mr. Thomas, as far as my consultant side would say, the planning doesn't have jurisdiction, and with Heather and the water board, whatever y'all decide, the water board could easily, or Tony as well, could say, we don't have the water for that. And what that would, I think was what Heather's trying to say is, at that point, the developer would have to make the decision. Am I going to do what it takes to make the water what it's going to need to be, or am I just going to let this sit and eventually it will get there? But now I also want to note there is required that we've started putting on our plans for down here in Trousdale probably about 4 or 5 years ago, that this approval is good for a year. So let's say this plat or the site plan sat for 2 years. Well, they'd have to come back and start this process over. But we run into this day in and day out to where, say you have for a good example, the LNS development out here on Sam Beasley, they're running the water infrastructure for that development. So that was approved prior to the water being there, obviously. So the planning is not going to tell the water board that, hey, we approved this, so y'all are going to have to provide water. We're approving the site plan, and then the developer is going to have to work with the water board to make sure that what they are going to need is there, and it will be the developer's cost to incur if there is upgrades that are needed. And we deal with that all the time, because most of your water boards nowadays, all the easy and profitable areas have been ran to. And so anything else is not going to be profitable unless these developments happen. The water boards are not going to vote, and towns and cities are not going to vote to run a mile-long water under the hope that a development is going to happen. They're going to make the developer run it, or upgrade it that way they know if the developer's putting up the upfront cost of infrastructure, they'll also proceed with the development. But the planning has no jurisdiction over the water board. So if y'all approve this and they can't get the letter, this site plan doesn't matter what y'all approved. If they can't get the water, and I don't think we're going to have an issue in this area, right, in this circumstance. But if they wasn't able to, Ms. Rosalie is not going to be able to issue a building permit regardless of the vote tonight. But more, if we had a contingent approval, this would allow me to proceed. I won't say, obviously we could bring it back to the next month meeting, but this would allow me to proceed quicker because I can call Tony first thing. Might aggravate him tonight, but first thing in the morning. So,
David,
And I in no way would even try to regulate what any one water department would do. From a codes and zoning standpoint, I've been operating as the chairman of codes and zoning, not even thinking that this was an issue to be handed because we did everything did it have adequate infrastructure. Now that I know that that's not enough, this can be addressed by that committee. And hopefully within 2 months, we'll have something ironed out to give clearance on that. So that is a requirement, just a letter.
and I think he's right
Yeah.
that we approve this conditionally and the infrastructure's not there, then the project's dead. You can't move forward. I'd hate to see somebody try to put in a laundromat with no water.
Yeah.
It ain't gonna work too good.
I feel like you could treat it with if there was no sewer or water there, the site plan would still just have a proposed or sewer or water. And even if this was approved by this board or planning commission, it would still be between the utility and the developer to get that proposed there. And I would be glad, Mr. Thomas, to give you any of my documentation of examples of water availability to help y'all, because I 100% agree that most of our rural areas in this part of the state of Tennessee is going to have to look at this going forward, because every one of our UDs and towns and cities that we represent is having the same conversation.
Heather, don't you, I kind of sound like that's what you were saying. Okay. All right. Other questions? Discussion? What's the will of what we have before us here is a site plan review at Halltown Road for a commercial building by Mr. Carmen. We have your plan, as I remember, your recommendation was approval on contingent.
Conditional approval.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And was yours that way or not?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So our consultants tell us that if somebody wants, we were to approve this, it would be conditional approval. So what is the will of the commission? Mr. Nolan? What'd she say? Just putting you on the spot there, Mr. Nolan. So we have a motion by Mr. Nolan to approve this contingent upon all the water and all these other things being available. Do I have a second? Second. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, please say no. Does pass unanimously.
Thank y'all.
That's the last thing on our agenda. Just to bring y'all up to date, I went and talked with Miss Rosalie on Friday morning, and it seems like our minds were working together. After y'all probably like me, you see on TV and stuff about these data centers. And to me, a data center is kind of I put that in the same realm as I would a rock quarry. I believe it could cause as much excitement in our community. And from what I understand, my limited understanding about data centers is that the state of Tennessee passed a law stating that data centers that residential commercial rates on electricity would not rise because of data centers, but I don't always trust what what that is. I would rather see us come up with our own, because one of the things a lot of people don't realize is data centers use a tremendous amount of water. And I mean, we just spent an hour or more discussing water usage. And the last thing I would want to do is have something come in that's going to hog every drop of water that we could generate for the next several years. There's nobody wanting to put one in here. I'm just saying, I would like to see us kind of get a toehold on how to manage this and not go 20 years with a rock quarry plan that we were lucky we didn't get ruled against before. I'd like to see us get ahead of this. Ms. Rosalie, you have anything you want to say about that?
Sir, you've read my mind. So in speaking with Amanda, we have, and several others who are of the same mindset, we've been talking. And so next month, we have a great opportunity, not only the BZA, we're going to be doing a training. There's been a lot of different administrative laws dealing with the Planning Commission and other bodies of government that have changed that we're going to be doing a training on during the BZA hour. But then during the Planning Commission, Amanda and I are going to be talking about ordinances that have been passed in other jurisdictions concerning data centers and exploring how we can come forward with language of our own, because it's not just the one structure. There are accessory structures, just like when you build a house, then you want a pool, then you want a barn, and you want a storage shed. So there are multiple facets to this thing called a data center, and we're going to be exploring that next month, and that'll also be counted as training for everyone as well. So you have a great opportunity to get your credits in.
One of my concerns is, if you've been watching the news, there's two trying to go into Nashville right now, one over by the zoo and the other in a residential area. And they may or may not get approval for that or something, but if they were to not get approval, that don't mean they're just going to go away. That means they may start coming out into smaller communities where they think they can bully people into communities into doing, what they want. So I just think we need to get ahead of it and, start working towards that. Yes, sir.
Well, I can only guarantee that I can help for the next 2 months. So depending on how that August election goes, I don't know what my future holds. But I can get the requirement for infrastructure part done in the next 2 months.
Okay.
The data center, I think that's going to take longer.
Oh, yeah.
Just to get all the information together so that we can have something to pass through the commission. But I agree with you. That is something that in my time on the commission, the things that I knew were issues that had been ignored, I tried to push and get done, and we got those done. This is something that, whether I'm on the commission or not, I know Mr. Nollner is not going to be either. Whoever takes our place needs to pick this mantle up and carry it. This has got to get done, because if you'll listen to the news stories, your complaints aren't what you would think from a data center. I mean, the complaint for the zoo is the lighting. You wouldn't think of lighting being an issue on a data center. That's all indoors.
Right.
The issue for the one around the Fisk University, it was the air conditioned sounds, the noise in the neighborhood. That's not something you would think of.
Right.
And then when talking with Miss Rosalie, the water issue. Well, all those servers in that, I mean, you look how big the Metasys building is in Gallatin. All those servers are cooled by water. Now, whether they have to be filtered water or whether they can pump right out of the river, I don't know.
And they don't
But-
provide that many jobs.
There's no need to.
Most of the people that work there are electricians.
Yeah.
My next door neighbor works there. He's an electrician, and he said that's what most of us are down there.
So, I mean, between your noise, your light, and we've talked about in years past of the dark skies. I know when Enbridge came and they presented their whole thing was they were going to have, light control and minimize light pollution. Well, I topped the hill last night coming home on 141, and lo and behold, there's 6 big bright lights across the horizon, right over. And it's not exactly dark sky compliant. That was something they agreed to on their own in this body. So I don't know what kind of enforcement we can do to hold them to their own word, because we never, that resolution or ordinance that got put forward got shot down in the commission.
Right.
But we're about to have a lot of people complaining about they can't sleep at night because all the lights shining in their houses. And yeah, that's some short-sightedness on the commission's part there that I hope doesn't continue in the next cycle.
Anybody else have anything to come before the commission? Thank you for your time. Oh, I'm sorry.
A lot of projects like that would require an environmental study that should bring to the surface the amount of sound abatement that might need to
Right.
be needed, light abatement.
I just like to see us get a head start.
But just remember that self-determination of what you're willing to accept and not accept within your environmental study.
I'm kind of like Andy Griffin. I don't care if anything else ever moves here. Myself.
Well, we've got we
I'm
have,
just speaking for Johnny Kerr.
we have a new bridge, which means it's a new exit ramp.
I
for you
know,
to enter
I
into
know.
this community.
I
So,
agree. I agree.
whether it's a data center or a new 141 bridge, how are you going to take on the next decisions for
You're
the
right.
next
When
subdivision?
that road is finished, it's gonna be a whole new ball game on that end of the county. Yep, I agree.
So I'd like to bring everybody up to speed. Amber and I have been working very, very diligently on a project that we were asked to do from the Tennessee data center in Knoxville. So we talked a little bit about this last month where they wanted information on the number of residential building permits or number of residential units that had incurred here in our jurisdiction from 2019 all the way up to January of 2025, because we're one of 3 metropolitan jurisdictions in the state. How they calculate the percentage of sales tax that you receive and gas tax is going to be based on those numbers of those units. So we had to look at mobile homes, we had to look at duplexes, triplexes, quadplexes, things of that nature. And if we didn't provide this information, they were just going to go off the numbers from the 2020 census. So you guys know more than anyone else how much we've approved and how much growth we've experienced since the last census. Just to kind of give you an update, and I really want to thank Amber for her help, because the data that they wanted was map and parcel number. And believe me, we didn't necessarily put that in the spreadsheet. They never put it in a spreadsheet when they were tabulating. So having to go back and pull paper files and gather information was daunting. In 2019, we had 99 units, okay? In 2020, remember this is the year that COVID hit, it was 95. So just a little bit of drop. In 2021, we came up with a total of 139 units. 2022, 139 units. 2023, 130. 2024, 133. Now, that being said, from now on, we're going to have to do a report every year on the number of living units and give to this data center. Now, this is the state data collection center, not whatever we were talking about. And that's going to be helping us. And so now at least we've got our baseline, right? And so we'll be giving you guys more information too next year to kind of give you a heads up. Okay, what kind of growth are we experiencing? Interestingly enough, when in talking with the director, mobile homes were counted as units already completed as soon as the building permit was issued. And I thought, Have you ever experienced in the real world a mobile home? Because you can get a building permit for a mobile home and it may be a year later before they actually install it onto the property. And they were saying for building permits, they were tabulating those anywhere from 6 to 8 months. And I know there are some contractors that may have a house done in 52 days. Yes, it's been done and it's met code, believe it or not. So it was just really interesting on how they calculated and what they figured. What was really interesting too is looking at back in 19 and 2020, we didn't have really any permits for multifamily dwellings. We didn't have townhomes or triplexes or anything. And we started seeing a surge right after the pandemic to have multiple. You had Village Lane having 4 or 5 done. Hilltop had 4 or 5 done within ensuing years. So just, I kind of found it fascinating. Yeah, I took statistics, and statistics are whatever, however you want to look at it. But looking at the history and knowing what I was looking at is like, now that's pretty interesting. So, again, thank you, Amber, for all your hard work, and just wanted to keep you guys up to speed. Also, we're still working on all the different TOSHA remediations that we need to do to correct all the different violations that we experienced in the other 2 departments that were evaluated. But just like we did 2 years ago, everybody, I'm sure will come through it, and we'll be able to say, hey, we're good in those departments. Thank you.
Mandy, you got anything?
I don't.
Does anybody have anything else to come before the planning commission this evening? If not, I would accept a motion to adjourn. Motion to adjourn. I second. We gone.